Commander Day stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, staring at the view screen that showed nothing but stars. Behind him, dozens of officers worked at their stations, their faces lit by the glow of monitors and displays. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines and the occasional beep from a computer. He had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. The Indomitable was the largest warship humanity had ever built. It stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, covered in armor plating and weapons systems. But it was not alone. Behind it, spread across thousands of kilometers of space, floated 846 more ships, carriers, destroyers, cruisers, support vessels. It was the entire might of Earth's military, gathered together for the first time in history. Day turned away from the view screen and walked toward the tactical station. Lieutenant Yuna looked up from her console as he approached. She was young, barely 30, but she had the sharpest tactical mind in the fleet. "Status?" Day asked. "All ships report ready, sir. We're holding position at the boundary." "No contacts yet." Yuna's fingers moved across her screen. "The Council's territory starts exactly 1,000 kilometers ahead." Day nodded. 1,000 kilometers. Such a small distance in space, but crossing it would change everything. For 200 years, humanity had been trapped. When the Galactic Council made first contact with Earth, everyone thought it would be the beginning of a golden age. Humans would join the galactic community. They would trade with alien species, learn from them, explore the stars together. Instead, the Council had put humanity in a cage. They called it a probationary period. They said humans were too aggressive, too dangerous, too unpredictable. They allowed human ships to travel within the solar system, but no further. They sent inspectors to Earth every year to make sure humanity was not building weapons that violated Council laws. They treated humans like children who could not be trusted. And every time Earth asked to become a full member of the Council, they said no. The last rejection had come 3 months ago. It was the 7th time humanity had asked. The 7th time they had been denied. Fleet Admiral Hana had been at that meeting, and when she came back to Earth, she had made a decision. No more asking. No more waiting, sir. "We're getting a message from Admiral Hana," the communications officer called out. "Put it on screen." The view screen changed from stars to the face of Fleet Admiral Hana. She sat in her office back on Earth, thousands of light years away, but the quantum communication system made it seem like she was right there. "Commander Day," Hana said. Her voice was calm, but Day could see the tension in her eyes. "You are authorized to proceed with Operation Breakout. Cross the boundary. Show them we will not be contained anymore." Day felt his heart beat faster. "Understood, Admiral." "What if they try to stop us?" "You have 800 ships, Commander." "They won't try." Hana leaned forward. "But if they do, you do not fire first. We're making a statement, not starting a war. Is that clear?" "Crystal clear, Admiral." "Good luck, Day. History will remember this day." The screen went dark. Day took a deep breath. He walked back to the center of the bridge and sat in the command chair. For a moment he just sat there, feeling the weight of what he was about to do. Then he pressed the button on his armrest. "All ships, this is Commander Day. Prepare to advance. Formation Delta 7. We cross the boundary in 5 minutes." Across the fleet, ships began to move. Engines fired. The massive formation of vessels started to drift forward, slow and steady, like a wall of metal pushing through space. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Tae-hyun was watching his sensors carefully. He was the best sensor operator in the fleet, and right now, his job was to make sure nothing surprised them. "Commander," Tae-hyun said suddenly, "I'm picking up something. 3 small contacts right at the boundary line." Day stood up. "Identification?" "Running it now." Tae-hyun's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Got it, they're Veloxi scout ships. Small vessels, probably only 3 or 4 crew each." Yuna turned in her chair. "Scouts, they're watching the border." "Of course they are," Day said. "The Council knew we might try something eventually. Those scouts are their early warning system. Should we change course?" "Go around them?" Yuna asked. Day shook his head. "No, we have nothing to hide. Maintain course and speed." The minutes ticked by. The human fleet moved closer and closer to the boundary. On Day's view screen, he could now see the 3 Veloxi ships. They were tiny compared to the Indomitable, like flies next to an elephant. 2 minutes to boundary, Yuna announced. Day activated the ship-wide communications. His voice would now be heard on every vessel in the fleet. All ships, this is Commander Day. In 2 minutes, we will cross into Council space. Stay in formation. Keep your weapons powered but not targeted. We are not invaders. We are equals claiming what is rightfully ours. On the destroyer Horizon's Edge, Captain Jin Woo listened to Dai's words. His ship was one of the newest in the fleet, equipped with experimental weapons that could punch through shields like paper. He hoped he would not have to use them. Captain, those Veloxi ships are increasing their sensor output, his sensor officer reported. They're scanning us, Jinwoo smiled. Let them scan. Let them see what we've built. On the science vessel Discovery, Dr. Sujin was also listening to the countdown. She was not military. She was a civilian physicist, and she was on this mission because of the experimental gravity weapons installed on 12 of the fleet's largest ships. Those weapons were so powerful they could crack a moon in half. The Council had banned such technology decades ago. Sujin checked her instruments. The gravity weapons were stable. She hoped they would stay that way. 1 minute to boundary, Yuna said. Day gripped the arms of his chair. This was it. Once they crossed that line, there was no going back. The Council would know that humanity was done obeying their rules. 30 seconds. The Veloxi ships were not moving. They just floated there watching, scanning. 10 seconds. Day could feel every eye on the bridge watching him. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Indomitable crossed the boundary. Behind it, 846 ships followed. They were in Council space now. Nothing happened. No alarms, no attacks. The Veloxi ships just sat there. Taehyun, what are they doing? Day asked. Taehyun stared at his screen, confused. Sir, their sensor activity just spiked. They're running full active scans on us. Every frequency. It's like they're trying to count how many ships we have. Let them count, Day said. But inside, he felt uneasy. Something was wrong. The Veloxi ships should have run by now. They should have jumped to hyperspace to warn the Council. Instead, they were just sitting there, scanning and scanning and scanning. What were they waiting for? Scout Leader Kresh had been watching the border for 16 cycles. In all that time, he had never seen anything more interesting than a few asteroids drifting past. This was supposed to be an easy assignment. Boring, but easy. Now he was staring at his scanner display and nothing made sense. How many ships are there? He asked his second officer. The second officer, a younger Veloxi named Threx, shook his head. His scales were turning pale with confusion. The count keeps changing. First it said 3, then 30. Now it says 847, but that can't be right. Kresh felt a chill run down his spine. 800 ships? No species in the galaxy had that many warships. Even the Council's entire defense fleet only had about 600 vessels, and those were spread across thousands of star systems. Run a full diagnostic on the sensors, Kresh ordered. Something is wrong with our equipment. Threx worked at his console. Diagnostic running. It will take a few minutes. Kresh looked at the view screen. He could see the human ships now. They were massive. The largest one in front was bigger than a Council battle station. And behind it, spreading out like a swarm, were hundreds more. His communicator beeped. It was Vrash, the leader of Scout Ship 2. Kresh, are you seeing this? Vrash's voice was high-pitched with panic. I see it. Stay calm. Our sensors might be malfunctioning. All 3 ships? At the same time? Vrash did not sound convinced. Kresh did not have an answer for that. The diagnostic finished. Threx looked up, his eyes wide. The sensors are working perfectly, sir. No errors detected. Then how do we have 800 contacts? Because there are 800 ships out there, Threx said quietly. Kresh felt his breathing speed up. This was bad. This was very bad. The humans were not supposed to have ships like this. The Council had been monitoring Earth for 2 centuries. The last report said humans had maybe 20 warships, and those were small, primitive things. Increase sensor power to maximum, Kresh ordered. I need exact numbers. Exact ship types. The Council needs to know everything. Threx hesitated. Sir, our sensors are already running at 80%. If we push them higher, do it! Threx pushed the power levels up. The scanner hummed louder as more energy flowed through its systems. For 3 seconds, everything seemed fine. Then the alarms started. Red lights flashed across every console on the bridge. The main display flickered and filled with error messages. The computer's voice spoke in Kresh's language, calm despite the chaos. Warning. Data overflow. Warning. Processing capacity exceeded. Warning. Core temperature rising. What's happening? Kresh shouted. Threx was staring at his screen in horror. The sensors are being flooded with information. Every human ship is broadcasting on thousands of frequencies at once. Active radar, gravity sensors, quantum scanners, energy signatures we don't even have in our database. Our systems are trying to process it all at the same time. Kresh grabbed the edge of his console as the ship shook. Why are they broadcasting so much? I don't think they're trying to jam us, Threx said. I think this is just their normal output. They're so loud that our sensors can't handle it. The main computer started making a sound Kresh had never heard before. A grinding, whining noise that meant something was very wrong deep in the ship's core. On Scout Ship 2, Vrash was having the same problems. His displays showed nothing but static and error codes. The ship's AI was trying to categorize every human vessel, but there were too many types, too many weapon systems, too many power signatures cut the sensors. Vrash ordered his crew.
Shut them down before they fry the whole system.
But it was too late. The sensor array overloaded with a flash of sparks. The smell of burning circuits filled the bridge. On Scout Ship 3, the youngest of the three crews, the Veloxi, were panicking. Their captain tried to maintain order, but when the gravity sensors suddenly registered impossible readings from the human ships, the whole crew knew they were looking at technology they did not understand. Back on Scout Ship 1, Kresh made a decision. Communications, send everything we have to Council Space. Now, before we lose the comm system too. The communications officer's hands were shaking as he worked. Compressing data. Preparing burst transmission. Make it fast, the officer worked for 15 more seconds. Then he pressed the final button. Message away. It should reach the nearest council station in about 12 hours. Good. What did you send? Ship count, position, energy readings, and a warning that our systems are failing. The officer paused. I also sent that they're human ships. Kresh nodded. That would be enough. The council would understand the threat. Another alarm blared. This one was different. Deeper, more urgent. Sir, the reactor is fluctuating, Threx called out. The overload is spreading through the ship's systems. Life support is stable, but everything else is shutting down to protect the core. The lights on the bridge dimmed. Half the consoles went dark. The view screen showed only static now. Kresh felt helpless. In his 40 years as a scout, he had never experienced anything like this. The humans had not fired a single weapon. They had not even communicated. They had just existed near him, and that alone was enough to crash his ship. Try to reboot the main computer, Kresh said. Get us basic maneuvering at least. We need to leave this area. Threx worked at the one console that still had power. Starting reboot sequence. It will take at least an hour. An hour. Kresh looked at the static-filled view screen. The human fleet was probably still out there, moving deeper into council space, and his scout ships were floating dead in space, unable to warn anyone, unable to run. On the Indomitable, Tae-hyun watched his sensors with fascination. Commander, the Veloxi ships have gone dark, all three of them. No power signatures except life support. Tae frowned. We didn't do anything to them. No, sir. I think they did it to themselves. Their sensor activity was off the charts for a few minutes, then everything just shut down. Yuna turned to look at Tae. Their systems couldn't handle scanning us? Apparently not, Tae said. He felt a strange mix of satisfaction and concern. Satisfaction because it proved how far humanity had come. Concern because if council sensors could not even look at human ships without crashing, what did that mean for future communication? Should we help them? Tae-hyun asked. Tae thought about it. They could send a shuttle over. Make sure the Veloxi crews were safe. It would be the decent thing to do. But it would also waste time. And right now, time mattered. Negative, Tae said. Their life support is active. They're not in immediate danger. We continue with the mission. The Indomitable moved forward, leaving the 3 dead scout ships behind. Inside those ships, Kresh and his crews worked in near darkness, trying to bring their systems back online. They had managed to send one message to the council. One warning. Kresh hoped it would be enough. In the distance, the human fleet continued its advance. 847 ships, all of them, broadcasting enough electromagnetic noise to drown out stars. They moved in perfect formation like a school of metal fish swimming through the void, and behind them in council space alarms were starting to ring. The council chamber on Veritas Prime was a massive dome carved from white stone that had stood for 10,000 years. Inside, representatives from 43 different species sat in curved rows, facing the center where the High Counselor presided. Today, like most days, they were discussing trade disputes and colonization rights. Then the alarm sounded. It was not a loud alarm, just a soft chime that indicated an urgent message had arrived. But in the 200 years since the council chamber had been built, that alarm had only sounded 12 times. Each time it meant something serious had happened. High Counselor Vren, a tall insectoid with silver carapace and 4 arms, touched a control on his desk. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing the compressed data burst from Scout Leader Kresh. The chamber fell silent as the message played. Human Armada, 800+ vessels, systems failing. Unable to, the message cut off abruptly. For 5 seconds, nobody spoke. Then everyone tried to speak at once. Impossible. 800 ships? The humans don't have that kind of fleet. This must be a sensor error. Vren raised one of his 4 hands, calling for silence. Counselor Myra, you are the head of the monitoring committee. What do our latest reports say about human military capacity? Counselor Myra stood up. She was one of the few reptilian species on the council, with dark green scales and intelligent yellow eyes. She had been monitoring Earth for the past 50 years. According to our last inspection 6 months ago, humanity had approximately 22 military vessels. The largest was about 800 meters long. Their technology was advancing, but slowly. Nothing that suggested they could build a fleet of this size. Then this message is clearly false, Counselor Dren said. He was a floating gas being who spoke through a translator. Or the scout's sensors malfunctioned. 3 scouts, Dren, Myra said quietly. 3 separate ships all reporting the same thing before their systems failed. That seems unlikely to be a coincidence. More arguing broke out. Species accused each other of not monitoring the humans properly. Others suggested the message might be a human trick, some kind of false signal to make them panic. Vren's desk chimed again. Another urgent message. This time it was from Border Station 88 on the other side of Council space. A station master appeared in the hologram, his face showing clear fear. Council, we have human ships entering our sector. At least 50 vessels, maybe more. They are requesting docking clearance. I repeat, human ships are here and they want to dock. The hologram switched to show sensor data. Myra leaned forward, studying the numbers carefully. The ships were huge, power readings that exceeded anything in the Council fleet, weapon signatures that matched nothing in the database. Before anyone could respond, 3 more messages arrived. Human ships had been spotted in 7 different sectors simultaneously. Trade stations reported contact. Border patrol vessels were fleeing at the sight of massive human dreadnoughts. The chamber erupted into chaos. Vren slammed one of his hands on his desk, creating a sound like thunder. Silence. This is clearly not a false alarm. The humans have been more active than we realized. Counselor Myra, I want a full report. Access all files, including the restricted surveillance data. Myra nodded and returned to her seat. Her fingers moved across her console, pulling up files that most council members never saw. The real surveillance data. The detailed observations that had been kept secret to avoid causing panic. What she found made her blood run cold. For 200 years, the council had been watching Earth. They had seen humanity almost destroy itself in the resource wars. They had watched the construction of the first fusion drives, the colonization of Mars, the mining operations in the asteroid belt. All of it had seemed primitive compared to council technology. But Myra had missed something crucial. She had been watching humanity like you would watch a child learning to walk. Slowly, carefully, expecting gradual progress. She had not understood that humans did not progress gradually. They exploded. The data showed everything. Orbital shipyards around Jupiter that had been built in secret. Manufacturing facilities on Saturn's moons. Research stations hidden in the Kuiper Belt. The Council's inspectors had only ever been allowed to see Earth and Mars. Everything else had been hidden, and the speed of development was terrifying. In just 50 years, humanity had gone from barely reaching their own moon to building faster-than-light engines. In another 50, they had constructed orbital habitats that housed millions. And now, in the last decade, they had built a fleet that rivaled the entire Council's military might. Myra pulled up the ship design files that her spy satellites had captured. The human vessels were not upgrades to old designs. They were completely new, fifth-generation warships with weapon systems that violated at least 3 Council conventions on prohibited technology, gravity weapons that could crush a ship like a tin can, plasma cannons that burned hotter than stars, shield technology that could regenerate faster than it could be damaged, and something else, something the analysis computers could not fully explain, involving quantum entanglement and spatial manipulation. Myra realized she was shaking. "Counselor," Vren's voice brought her back to the present. "Your report?" Myra stood up slowly. She sent her data to the central hologram so everyone could see it. "We made a mistake," she said quietly. "A very serious mistake. The hologram showed graphs and charts, ship construction rates, technology advancement curves, population growth, industrial capacity, every metric pointing upward at an exponential rate. When we first made contact with humanity 200 years ago, we assessed them as a dangerous but manageable species. We put them on probation, limited their expansion, monitored them carefully. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from a potentially aggressive species." Myra touched her console, and the hologram changed to show a comparison. On one side, the technological progress of the average Council species over 2,000 years. A steady, almost flat line with small improvements over time. On the other side, humanity's progress over just 300 years. A curve that shot upward like a rocket. "We were not protecting the galaxy from them," Myra said. "We were protecting ourselves from what they would inevitably become." Counselor Dren's translator made a sound like a gasp. "Are you saying the humans are now more advanced than us?" "In some areas, yes. Their ships are faster, more powerful, and more numerous than ours. They achieved in 3 centuries what took most of our species 3 millennia. How is that possible?" someone asked. Myra had thought about this question many times. They iterate. They do not just improve technology. They revolutionize it every few decades. While we perfect our designs over centuries, they throw away old ideas and start fresh. They do not fear failure. They learn from it and move forward. She paused, looking around the chamber, and we gave them 200 years to do this in secret. 200 years of being angry at us for keeping them contained. 200 years to build ships and weapons that would prove they deserve to be free. Vren leaned back in his chair. For the first time in his 40 cycles as High Counselor, he looked genuinely worried. "Options?" he asked. "We could fight them," Counselor Dren suggested. "Mobilize the full Council fleet."
Meet this human armada with overwhelming force, and if we lose?
Myra asked. "Because looking at these numbers, there is a very real chance we would lose. Or even if we won, the cost would be devastating. We would lose half our fleet, maybe more, and humanity still has Earth, Mars, and all those hidden facilities. They would rebuild. We would have started a war we cannot win." "Then what do you propose?" Vren asked. Myra took a deep breath. "We give them what they asked for. Full Council membership. All restrictions lifted. Immediate recognition as equals." The chamber exploded with protests. "Unacceptable.
They have not earned it."
This would set a terrible precedent. Myra waited for the noise to die down. "They have not earned it? They have built a fleet that exceeds ours. They have technology we do not understand. They have proven they can bypass our monitoring and our restrictions. What more do they need to prove? But if we simply give in to their demands, we look weak," Vren said. "We look smart," Myra countered. "We look like we can recognize when circumstances have changed and adapt accordingly. Better to negotiate now while we still have some leverage." The debate continued for hours, but slowly as more reports came in of human ships peacefully entering Council space, the tone shifted. The humans were not attacking. They were not threatening. They were simply there, existing in numbers too large to ignore. Finally, Vren called for a vote. The result was close but decisive. The Council would offer humanity full membership with no restrictions. Commander Day was reviewing tactical reports when the priority message came through. The hologram of Fleet Admiral Hanna appeared in his private quarters, and he could immediately tell something had changed. "Admiral," Day said, standing at attention. "At ease, Commander. We have a situation." Hanna's expression was unreadable. "The Council has made contact. They want to negotiate." Day felt his pulse quicken. "What are they offering?" "Everything we asked for and more. Full membership, immediate lifting of all travel restrictions, a permanent seat on the High Council, They even apologized for the delays. Day waited. There had to be more, but, Hana continued, they want something in return. They want us to provide complete records of our fleet composition, our ship capabilities, and our technological specifications. They also want mutual security inspections to ensure we are not developing weapons that violate Council conventions. There it was. Day sat down slowly. They want to know exactly what we have so they can figure out how to counter it. That is my assessment, yes. Hana leaned forward. Commander, I need your input. You are out there with the fleet. You have seen how the Council reacted to our presence. What do you think we should do? Day stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, he could see dozens of human ships hanging in space like steel monuments. Beyond them, the stars of Council space stretched out to infinity. Permission to speak freely, Admiral? Always. I think they are terrified. Not just concerned or worried. Actually terrified. And I do not think we should accept their offer. Hana raised an eyebrow. Explain. 200 years, Admiral. For 200 years, they told us we were not ready. They inspected our ships, limited our expansion, treated us like dangerous children, and now suddenly they want us as equals? Not because they respect us, but because they finally see us as a threat. You think their offer is not genuine? I think their offer is practical, Day said. They have looked at the numbers and realized they cannot stop us without a devastating war. So they are choosing the smart option, but the moment they understand our technology, the moment they figure out how we built ships this advanced, they will work to match us. And we will be right back where we started, except now they will have all our secrets. Hana was quiet for a moment. What would you propose instead? I do not know yet. But I know we should not give them everything they are asking for, just because they are finally willing to talk to us as equals. I will consider your input. Hana out! The hologram disappeared. Day stood alone in his quarters, thinking. Across the fleet, news of the Council's offer spread quickly. Reactions varied wildly depending on who you asked. On the destroyer Horizon's Edge, Captain Jinwoo was meeting with his senior officers. Most of them were excited. This is exactly what we wanted, his first officer said. Full membership. No more restrictions. We can explore the galaxy freely. Jinwoo nodded slowly. But at what cost? We give them all our technical data? So what? We are supposed to be joining them as partners. Partners share information, do they? Jinwoo looked around the table. How much information has the Council shared with us over the past 200 years? Did they teach us their shield technology? Their faster-than-light systems? No, we had to figure it out ourselves, and most of the time we came up with better solutions than theirs. His tactical officer frowned. You think we should refuse their offer? I think we should be very careful about what we agree to. On the science vessel Discovery, Dr. Sujin was having similar doubts. She had been reviewing the Council's message with her research team. They want full specifications on our gravity weapons, one of her assistants said. That technology took us 40 years to develop. Should we really just hand it over? Sujin stared at the data on her screen. The gravity weapons were humanity's greatest military achievement. They could distort space itself, crushing enemy ships or deflecting incoming fire, and yes, they violated Council conventions. The Council had banned gravity manipulation weapons after a war 3,000 years ago, nearly destroyed 2 entire star systems. But humanity had never signed those conventions. They were not bound by rules they never agreed to. If we share this technology with the Council, Sujin said quietly, what is to stop them from using it against us someday? Nobody had a good answer. Back on the Indomitable, Commander Day called a meeting of his senior staff. Lieutenant Yuna, Captain Jinwoo, who had shuttled over from his ship, and several other high-ranking officers gathered in the briefing room. You have all seen the Council's offer, Day began. I want honest opinions. Should we accept? Jinwoo spoke first. I think we should. This is what we came out here for. We wanted recognition. We wanted freedom. They are offering it to us. With conditions, Yuna said. Very specific conditions that would give them detailed knowledge of our capabilities. Is that really so bad? Jinwoo asked. If we are joining the Council as members, should we not be transparent? The Council was never transparent with us, Yuna countered. Why should we trust them now? The debate went back and forth. Some officers argued that accepting the offer was the smart move. They had achieved their goal without firing a shot. Others worried that giving away their technological advantage would leave humanity vulnerable in the future. Day listened to all of them, but his mind kept returning to one question. What kind of precedent were they setting? If humanity accepted this offer, what would it mean? That you only get respect when you show overwhelming force? That the Council only listens to species that can threaten them? And if they refused, what then? The Council might see it as an insult. They might respond with economic sanctions or military pressure. The fragile peace could shatter. Commander, Yuna said, pulling him from his thoughts. We are receiving another message. From the Council. Put it through. A new hologram appeared. It showed Counselor Myra, the reptilian who had been monitoring Earth for decades. Dee had seen her face in reports before, but this was the first time they had actually communicated. Commander Day, Myra said, I hope I am not interrupting. Not at all, Counselor. I assume you are here about your offer. Actually, I am here to apologize. That surprised everyone in the room. Myra continued. I have been monitoring your species for 50 years. In that time, I have read thousands of reports, watched your cities grow, seen your technology advance, and I missed the most important thing about humanity. You do not wait for permission. You do not accept limitations placed on you by others. You push forward, always forward, until you achieve what you set out to do. She paused. The Council's offer is genuine, Commander. But I understand if you do not trust it. We have given you no reason to trust us. We kept you caged for 2 centuries because we were afraid of what you might become. And now you have become exactly what we feared. Powerful, advanced, unstoppable. Day found himself liking this alien. She at least was being honest. What do you want from us, Counselor? He asked. I want to know what humanity wants. Not what the Council is willing to give you, but what you actually want. Because I think there might be a way forward that does not require you to surrender your advantages, or us to surrender our security. Day looked at Yuna, then at Jinwoo. An idea was forming in his mind. A third option that nobody had considered yet. Give me 24 hours, Day said. I need to talk to my people. Then I will have an answer for you. 24 hours, Myra agreed. I will be waiting. The hologram disappeared. Jinwoo leaned forward. You have a plan. The beginning of one, Day said. But I need to talk to Admiral Hana first, and I need to think very carefully about what we say next. Because whatever we decide in the next day will determine humanity's relationship with the galaxy for the next 1,000 years. Outside the Indomitable, the human fleet waited in silence, and across Council space, billions of beings watched and wondered what the humans would do next. Commander Day spent the next 20 hours in constant communication with Fleet Admiral Hana. They talked about options. They debated consequences. They argued about what humanity should stand for in this moment. In the end, they agreed on something that surprised them both. Something bold. Something that would either secure humanity's place in the galaxy or start the very war they were trying to avoid. Now Day stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, preparing to make the most important broadcast of his life, not just to the Council but to every species in the galaxy. Communications, open a channel. Wideband. I want every receiver in Council space to pick this up. Taehyun looked up from his console. Sir, that will reach billions of people. Every planet, every station, every ship, I know. Do it. Lieutenant Yuna turned in her chair. Commander, are you sure about this? Once you send this message, we cannot take it back. Day nodded. I am sure. The Council has been making decisions about humanity in private for 200 years. It is time everyone heard our side. The communications officer worked for several minutes setting up the broadcast. Finally, he looked up. Channel open, sir. You are live. Day took a deep breath. He thought about all the people back on Earth who would hear this. All the aliens across the galaxy who had never even met a human. He thought about what he wanted them to know. People of the galaxy, he began. My name is Commander Day of the United Earth Defense Fleet. I am speaking to you from the bridge of the Indomitable, one of 847 human vessels currently in Council space. You may have heard reports about us. You may have heard that we are invading or threatening or breaking laws. I am here to tell you the truth. Across the galaxy, people stopped what they were doing. On Veritas Prime, the entire Council chamber fell silent, watching the broadcast on their screens. On trade stations and colony worlds, aliens gathered around displays to see this human commander speaking to all of them at once. For 200 years, humanity has been told we are too dangerous to be trusted, too aggressive, too unpredictable. The Council placed restrictions on our species that they have never placed on any other. We were not allowed to leave our solar system. We were inspected like criminals. We were treated as children who needed to be controlled. Day paused, letting his words sink in. We asked 7 times to become full members of the council. 7 times we were rejected. Each time they told us we needed more time, more proof that we could be peaceful members of the galactic community. But no matter what we did, it was never enough. On the destroyer Horizon's Edge, Captain Jinwoo watched the broadcast with his crew. He had thought Day would negotiate quietly with the council. This public speech was something else entirely, so we decided to stop asking for permission. Day continued. We built this fleet in secret. We developed technology that the council said we were not ready for. We did it ourselves, without their help, without their approval. And now we are here, in council space, because we have earned the right to be here. In the council chamber, High Counselor Vren gripped his desk tightly. This was not going as he had expected. The human was not accepting their offer. He was making demands. The council has offered us membership, Day said. They have offered to lift all restrictions. But they want something in return. They want to know exactly what our ships can do. They want to inspect our technology. They want to make sure we are not too dangerous. Day's expression hardened. We will not accept those conditions. Counselor Myra closed her eyes. She had hoped humanity would take the offer. Now things were about to get complicated. Instead, Day said, we are making a different proposal. We are sharing our ship specifications with everyone. Right now. Not just the council, but every species in the galaxy. Complete technical data on every vessel in our fleet. Across the bridge of the Indomitable, officers stared at Day in shock. Even Yuna looked surprised. Day touched a control on his command chair. Transmitting now. Billions of data packages flooded across the galactic network. Ship designs, weapon specifications, engine schematics, shield technology, everything. The complete technical blueprint of humanity's military fleet available for anyone to download and study. We are not hiding our capabilities, Day said. We are not afraid of you knowing what we have built. Because power that must be kept secret is not real power. We want the galaxy to see what humanity has achieved. We want you to know that we are not the primitive species you thought we were. In the council chamber, chaos erupted. Counselors were shouting at each other, frantically downloading the human data, trying to understand what was happening. Vren stared at his screen, watching the technical specifications scroll past. The humans were just giving this away? For free to everyone? But this is about more than just our fleet, Day continued. This is about establishing a precedent. From this day forward, humanity claims the right of free travel throughout council space. We claim the right to trade with any species that wishes to trade with us. We claim the right to establish colonies on unclaimed worlds. We claim the right to defend ourselves and our interests as we see fit. He paused, looking directly into the camera. We are not asking for these rights. We are taking them. Not through violence, not through threats, but because we have proven we have the capability to exercise these rights, whether the council approves or not. We are doing this openly, publicly, so that every species in the galaxy understands what is happening. On the science vessel Discovery, Dr. Su-Jin watched the broadcast with tears in her eyes. This was it. This was the moment humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as supplicants but as equals. Any species that wishes to do business with humanity, we welcome you, Day said. Any species that wishes to establish diplomatic relations, our channels are open. Any species that wishes to restrict us or threaten us will find that we are not so easily contained. He looked around his bridge, at the officers who had followed him on this mission, then back at the camera. The council kept us caged for 2 centuries because they were afraid of what we might become. They were right to be afraid, but not for the reasons they thought. They feared we would be conquerors, warriors, destroyers, but that is not who we are. We are explorers, innovators, survivors. We do not seek to dominate the galaxy. We seek to be part of it, as equals, as partners, but never again as subjects. The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge of the Indomitable. Then slowly, Yuna started clapping. Other officers joined in. Within seconds, the entire bridge was applauding. Day felt the weight lift from his shoulders. It was done. For better or worse, humanity had just announced its independence to the entire galaxy. In the council chamber on Veritas Prime, the arguing continued for another hour. Finally, Vren called for silence. We must vote, he said. Do we recognize humanity's claim to these rights, or do we mobilize our fleet to enforce Council authority? Counselor Myra stood up. If I may speak, High Counselor. Friend gestured for her to continue. The humans have outmaneuvered us completely, Myra said. By sharing their technology with everyone, they have made it impossible for us to claim they are hiding dangerous weapons. By broadcasting publicly, they have turned this into a question of principle rather than law. If we fight them now, we are not enforcing Council rules. We are trying to keep a powerful species under our control because we fear them. She looked around the chamber. And if we do fight, we will lose. Maybe not militarily, though even that is uncertain, but we will lose morally. Every species in this galaxy was once where humanity is now. Young, ambitious, eager to prove themselves. If we crush humanity for refusing to submit to our authority, what message does that send to every other developing species? That the Council only respects force? That we are bullies who keep newcomers down to maintain our own power? Dren's translator made a thoughtful sound. What do you propose? We accept reality, Myra said. We adapt, we learn. Because if we do not, we will be remembered as the civilization that tried to cage the humans and failed. The vote was called. It took 3 hours, but the result was clear. The Council would recognize humanity as a sovereign power with full rights and privileges. No restrictions. No probationary period. No inspections. It was not the membership humanity had asked for. It was better. It was acknowledgement that humanity did not need their permission. 3 days later, Commander Day received a personal message from Counselor Myra. Commander Day, she said in the recording, I wanted to congratulate you. What you did was risky, but it was also brilliant. You forced us to confront our own hypocrisy. You made us choose between our pride and our principles. I am glad we chose principles. She smiled, a strange expression on her reptilian face. I also wanted to warn you. Not every species will accept this new reality as gracefully as the Council did. You have made enemies by refusing to play by the old rules. Some will try to test you. Others will try to undermine you. A few might even try to fight you. But you have also made allies, species who are tired of Council dominance, younger civilizations who see humanity as proof that rapid advancement is possible. You are not alone out here. The recording paused. One more thing. You asked me once what we wanted from humanity. I never answered. The truth is, we want to see what you will do next. Because in 300 years,